Hello, lovely. You get weeks that are average, weeks that just blend in with the rest of them. And then you get weeks like this week of mine that were just magical. Honestly, that's the word. There's no other word for it. And I mean, if you from the outside looked at this week, you'd look at a regular week for me. Nothing special. Lots of photos of my son Elliot. A few photos of my husband, a lot of journaling. I don't know, it looks like a regular week, and it was a regular week, but it was an amazing regular week, and it's got such a special place in my heart. And I finished the week in the first hour that my son was back at school, at the day mother. I had all the photos printed and done and everything sorted. So this is a special week. And I used the digital Studio Calico kit for it. And the way that I do that is I do everything in Photoshop, which I did on the Saturday. And then I save it to Drive so that I've got reference when I'm putting them in the album. And you can see my iPad there just to look at the picture, to remember where I put everything. And if you watched my hybrid process that I posted last week, you will know that I always change the layout, even though I've got it organized in Photoshop. And even though I change it every time, I'm going to keep organizing it because it makes me feel a lot better. It makes me feel happier with the photos. I think something nice about that is, you know, sometimes a photo needs to be zoomed in, sometimes a photo needs to be zoomed out a little bit to show more detail. If you've got a spread with a lot of details in the photos, kind of like this one is, this is one of those. A few of the photos you can zoom in or crop to look zoomed in, just to make it feel a lot calmer and a lot more minimalist. Spoiler alert, this is not a minimalist spread. This is a very busy spread and it makes me thoroughly uncomfortable, but it was a really nice week, and so I wanted to have all of the journaling, all of the details, and all of these photos in it. So this is, I think this ventures from my natural style, and you can see that with how I'm struggling with moving around all of these pictures and all of these cards. But I'm happy with it in the end. It was a very, very good week for me. And Studio Calico is not my regular style, but this was a very florally kit. And even the kit was not my type of florals. They were very bold florals, but that picture of those pink flowers in the snow at the bottom left, I think it kind of went with it. And also I just wanted to change. I just wanted to use some Studio Calico. And I also want to use these stamps. I love these stamps and I love everything about them, but I'm not very good at stamps. And the only way that you get better with something is you do it a lot and you suck at it for a while until you don't suck at it. So I posted my video, my second most recent one, I think. And it was my week 1 of Project Life for this year, and I really struggled with the stamps, and so many people left really nice helpful comments, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. YouTube is really great. I think the number one comment that has really helped me is to not stamp on, like, don't put my paper that I'm stamping on top of all these page protectors. It's not a flat surface. So for this layout particularly, I made sure that I stamped on a flat surface, and that made a world of difference. Like, it seems super obvious, and especially to people that have stamped religiously before, but it was not obvious to me. The other thing is that my desk, especially now that I've got a little baby, well, not especially, since I've had my son, I haven't been able to clean my desk as often as I usually would have. So I've got a very limited space. Even though it's a massive 2-meter desk, my space is very limited, pretty much to what you can see in frame. Everything out of frame is a mess. So I always tend to be working on top of other things with a tiny bit of open space. So yeah, make more space for the stamping to be flat. And then I knew that I wanted to put baby butt with alpha stickers because baby butt is my favorite. And I've covered it up for this video, but I'm gonna take that out once this video is done, because baby butt, I don't know, I think I need to make a mini album just on my son's baby butt. It'll be a great present for him when he's 21. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I want to live my life devoted to baby butt. So that gets the special card. That was kind of planned in advance. And these Studio Calico alphas, they're not from the same month as the digital kit. They're from the month before, and I won that on Instagram with scattered confetti, which is super exciting. These stamps, and pretty much every stamp that I will ever use, is from PAPIERPROJEKT, and it is a German company, but there are a whole bunch of English stamps there too, and there are a lot of I can't think of the English word for it, but there are a lot of patterns and stuff. I've got a few of those from her, and I use those in my art journaling, and they're really great. They're super high quality, even for an idiot like me, a stamping idiot like me. They make me look good. So I want to put something next to baby butt, and initially I chose the German phrase for I love you, and then I saw one that said true love, so like real love, I guess. And so yeah, definitely baby butt gets real love, because it is my one true love, one of 5 true loves. And I tore the vellum over there just to make it look a little bit more soft. This is a very, very hard, like there are a lot of angles for me, very different to my normal style. So I thought that bringing in the vellum will help soften it and make it more me. And for this whole Project Life week, bringing it together, it was such a I felt like a magpie. I kept getting distracted by all the other shiny things. I would stamp that label, and then I wouldn't continue with what I wanted to do with it, which is to cut it out and obviously write on it. Then I'd see another one, and I thought, oh, that would look good there, so let's try that. And see me being fancy and putting it on a flat surface when I stamped, and it came out perfectly. Look at that. Anyway, I got so distracted when I was making this. There were so many things that I wanted to do, and I suppose that's why it was so busy for me, is that I tried all the things that I wanted to try. And you can see I'm leaving that poor little label stamp alone again. And when I first put down baby butt, I put it on top of the page protector so I could see where it went and test it out if I needed to move it. And I'm just putting it onto the paper. Sometimes I leave it on the page protector, but I want to do that stamp, so I'm putting it onto the paper. I stamped it out in vellum, but I'm actually going to stamp it directly onto it. It fits beautifully with that Y hanging down there. So when I was putting this together in Photoshop, doing the digital side of it, I'm actually sad that I didn't record it, because it was a little bit of a different kind of process for me. Because the colors were so heavy and so bright, I did change a lot of the colors of the cards. So that blue and green one, I think, was originally, it had reds in there. I did a lot of changing colors for each of them, seeing if I could get some kind of color scheme going. And it's a little bit ironic that once I had printed everything out, I still added a whole bunch of pink, because I was actively working to not have pink in this layout. One of my favorite parts of it, of the digital side, is the little flower over my son sleeping there. And I made the photo black and white, obviously, because the color was completely off, but the flower makes it look pretty, and I just printed that onto the photo. Like, I didn't do anything else to it. What would have been nice, actually, thinking back, is to print those flowers on vellum and just to put that over there. Just to add some added softness and a little bit of depth. I'm having a look to see how I feel about it. Again, moving things around. I think since I put that heart stamp, that gold heart stamp, it changed the weight of the spread. The weight wasn't evenly distributed, so I try to move it again. And this is a very handwriting rich spread. There's a lot of my own handwriting in there. And I'm still not quite happy with it. It's not looking like something that I would regularly make. So I had a pink doily on my desk, and I thought I would try and bring out the pinks of that baby butt, those baby butt alphas, and maybe that would help, which I think it did. I'm going through these stickers from the Maggie Holmes Flourish collection. And then I'm going to start putting it into the pockets. And I'd love to know if I'm the only person that struggles this much with putting things in pockets. I feel like I'm forever trimming it down. I don't want them to float in the pockets, you know, I don't want it to look all weird. So I like to make it to the full width of the pocket, but I feel like that kicks me in the ass all the time because, you know, it's so difficult to get it to fit, and then I struggle to get it in. That's what she said. But yeah, am I the only person that struggles with this? I can't be, surely. And when things are too thin, like, I get upset because I don't like the way that looks. And since I'm done with the spread, I want to add these little photos. I printed them at A5 just because I wanted to print two, and I thought I could fit them both on an A4 sheet of photo paper. I'm adding this little lace trim because that was on my desk and it happened to be the perfect size. I think I was making a notebook, an A5 size notebook with it, so that's why that was there. And then I'm just going to punch it directly into the page protector. I'm trying to see if I want to cover up some journal cards, but I kind of like the look of them peeking out. And I punch it, and then I bought this fancy We Are Memory Keepers punch. What would you call that? Ring enforcer punch. But it is so weird, and I was so excited about it. I mean, I used to do this a lot. I used to punch a big circle and then a little circle inside of it a lot, so I thought this would be worth it, and it was only 13 euros, so it is worth it, but it does not, I don't know guys, like, it's not great. I can't see where I'm punching out. It doesn't feel like it's been punched. I don't know. So I'm using my Prit to stick this down because I'm lazy and I don't feel like any other glue. So I'm just making sure that my sticky fingers don't get to the top of those little circles. And I want to use these pink alphas to kind of tie them in together. But I wasn't feeling them and I didn't feel like a weird phrase. And then I saw these ones, which were from some kind of baby kit. These were actually from the girls' kits, but the boys' ones were silver, and I don't know, why can't boys have gold? Also, you know, pink. There's like a whole discussion on that as well. And I'm stealing the eye from a rival because I couldn't find where I put the cutie eye, and it turns out it was on my hand. So yeah. So the last thing is to fill out my week in review card. And I'm using this brilliant stamp by PAPIERPROJEKT, and I'm going to do this every week. Actually, on the hashtag for PAPIERPROJEKT, I found someone who used these title cards in a really cool way. Very basic, but really cool, and I'm totally doing that now. And that she just cuts it around and she uses pattern paper as a background, kind of to give it some texture. And I wanted to try with the ledger paper, but I thought it was very yellow for such a white spread. So I'm using this, which my son obviously got a hold of and was playing with it, so it's very crinkly, but it's still good. And it's not quite right for all the other colors in the spread, but I think since I'm going to be covering the majority of it, I'm happy with it. And so I think I have found, in week 12, I have found my standard weekly title card and my week in review card, and it's going to be this. And I think it's nice because even though they're standard, they've got a whole bunch of like customization to it. The other thing that I'm doing with my week in review cards, if you listen to the How She Creates podcast, Lauren and I did an episode on documenting. I'll leave a link in the show notes. But I mentioned that I wanted to write down the things that made me happy for the week and the things that I was grateful for rather than just what happened. And even though it's the same, like I would write down the same things as what I would write down, you know, if I just wrote what happened, it could be the exact same thing. Just phrasing it as things that I loved this week or things that I'm grateful for this week, it just helps reinforce that gratitude, which is so important when life is so busy. So I'm writing all of those. And then I'm going to do a stamp. And I haven't decided, well, I suppose I've decided now, but I'm going to be changing up that stamp each week to be something about this is what I like this week, or I'm thankful for this, or those generic today was awesome ones. And that's my week. I never know how to finish these things. Subscribe, like, comment. Ugh, I hate saying that too. So I suppose we could just do it the awkward way, and I just stop talking.